Hello, and welcome to the virtual version of our ISS Leadership Conference. My name is Seamus Marriott, and I've been the director at Dostik American International School for the last several years. I'm here today to talk about what I'd call Chapter 1 of DAIS and Mindprint together. When ISS offered the opportunity for a school or two to try a pilot or run a pilot with it, I quickly put up my hand and said, we will do it at DAIS. So this year we jumped into it and tested all our children from grades 3 through grade 8. I think the idea behind it was to get a baseline of data and insights into children that we perhaps wouldn't have otherwise. As I said, what intrigued me was looking at children from a different perspective, looking at executive functions and the other domains that were tested by Mindprint. As I said, I think gave us the opportunity to really kind of dig down and understand children from a different perspective and give us different insights into them as learners. As part of our accreditation and our action plans around growth and student achievement, we're actually knitting Mindprint into one component of a student achievement objective that will help use that data in developing individual student pathways or learning pathways for each of their students at our school. So we're excited about it, and at DAIS, from my perspective, I endorse Mindprint.
Hi, I'm Nancy Weinstein. I'm the founder and CEO of Mindprint Learning, and today I'm going to tell you a little bit about our solution. The first thing you should know is that it is the only platform worldwide to universally screen cognitive skills. It is evidence-based, based on over 75 years of cognitive research developed at the University of Pennsylvania's Brain Behavior Lab in collaboration with the National Institutes of Mental Health. Even NASA uses it with the astronauts. And what's most important for you to know and why you want to use it is because we can efficiently identify why your students might be struggling, how every student learns best, and what your teachers can do to help all students succeed. What do we actually do? We, in a 1-hour online assessment, whether it be remote or in the classroom, can identify how students learn in 10 skills. So we look at skills in the domains of complex reasoning, executive functions. We know that this is an important area all the time, but particularly important with remote learning. Long-term memory and efficiency. We work with students starting as young as age 8. We go all the way through college to 21. And again, the assessment only takes 1 hour. It's online, self-administered. This is a few screenshots of what it looks like. There are 9 short tests to get to those 10 skills. And what's also important for you to understand is that we are not replicating what you're doing in your other tests. So there's no reading comprehension, there are no math computations. This is really to get to how your students learn, not what they know. And so with that 1-hour assessment, we actually have many applications. So we have a report for student support if you're working with a student who's struggling and you really need to get to the underlying cause. If you want to work for your general population of students, and you need to work with them by academic skill, and your teachers need strategies so that they can individualize instruction. We do that as well. That's where I'll spend more time today. And then finally, for those of you who might be preparing your students for high-stakes testing, we can also predict scores accurately and then provide the right strategies to ensure that they're optimizing their score. So let's focus a little bit today on academic enrichment. And so what we want to emphasize is that the goal has not changed. So I'm using an example of reading, but we work in math and social studies and science. And regardless of what the learning goal is, so in this case, we use reading comprehension. That's the goal, getting your students to achieve that goal. When they are not achieving that goal, it is almost always because they are struggling with one of the underlying Mindprint skills. So in the case of reading comprehension, their memory, their verbal reasoning, their processing speed. And so what is most important is when they're struggling, we can get to that underlying root cause of why they're struggling and give them the supports for the underlying Mindprint skill that they're struggling with, not treat all students the same. So if the student's struggling with verbal memory, we don't want to provide scaffolds and interventions that are more focused on helping students with verbal reasoning and vice versa. What does it look like in the classroom for your teachers? So this is a traditional academic achievement report that your teachers probably have on your students, some form of this. And then teachers are usually looking at this report and saying, okay, now I'm going to group my green students together, my yellow students, my red students, right? That's the data that they have. That's the data that they kind of need to use. Mindprint uses this data, it combines it with its own data to get a report. We take those green students or green bubbles, the red students, red bubbles, and yellow, yellow, but we overlay that with Mindprint data. So in this case, their verbal reasoning accuracy as well as their verbal reasoning speed, so that you can identify if students are struggling, why they're struggling, right? So we can see that while Ernie and Timothy are both still yellow bubbles, they're struggling for profoundly different reasons, and therefore we need to give them different supports. So Ernie, when we'll dig into his profile, you'll see that his verbal reasoning is good, his speed is fine, and almost invariably a student like Ernie is struggling with executive function, so we know what supports to provide him. That is in sharp contrast to Timothy, who's struggling with verbal reasoning while working slowly. Timothy's actually at risk to falling to become a red bubble, and so we want to make sure we give him the right supports, but those are very different than what Ernie needs, where Ernie can, with a little bit of support, likely could turn into a green bubble. And the idea is that you can use this for all your students, whether it's taking a green bubble and making it even bigger and more successful, or helping your yellow and your red bubble kids. And then we don't stop there, right? So we have to give you the strategy so you know what to do, what's next, right? And so those strategies are going to depend not only on the student's achievement, but also on the quadrant that they're in within Mindprint, so we can identify what supports and scaffolds they need to be successful. So we provide an academic report, an academic plan, if you will, for every student. We take their Mindprint skills, we align them to academic achievement, so we can identify who's at risk, and if they are perhaps at risk, a yellow or an orange in the top, that we can give them the specific strategies that are going to be most successful. And these will be mostly teacher-led strategies, but to provide instruction and deliver instruction in the way that is going to be most effective for that student. In the fall, we will be launching an integrated report so teachers will be able to see not only their Mindprint data mapped out like this, but also their MAP scores. So they have one report for every student to know exactly where the student is performing, very likely why they might be getting that score, and very specifically what they can do to help their learner. That's a short overview of Mindprint. I look forward to telling you more. Please feel free to reach out and contact us. And hopefully in the near future, we can see you in person, not just virtually. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Teresa. I'm the grade 4 teacher at Dostik American International School. This year I was able to participate in the online training offered by Mindprint to help better understand the data and what the data reflected for each of our students. Due to the recent events, we weren't unable to complete the full scope of the pilot, but I did have the opportunity to examine the profiles of some of my students and to incorporate some of these strategies into my day-to-day teaching. I found that the data on Mindprint aligned very well with my own perceptions of students, but it also allowed me to view my students perhaps with even a deeper lens. The student profile is very, very easy to read, outlining their strengths as well as the skills that they need for support on, and I found the recommendations really targeted the students' areas of growth. I regret we didn't get to complete the full pilot, but I feel that Mindprint represents a tremendous opportunity for all those involved with the child's education, the teacher, the parent, and the child themselves to help better understand and help them grow as a learner.